The early evening air in Krakow hung heavy with fog. Amina, wrapped in her olive green coat and a deep maroon scarf, hurried past the silent tram lines toward the city's largest emergency hospital. Her breath came short. Something was wrong, deeply wrong. Her chest throbbed with pain she could no longer ignore. The glow of fluorescent lights from the ER shone ahead like a beacon. Inside, the sterile hum of machines and murmuring nurses offered a strange sense of relief. But as she stepped into the reception, clutching her ribs, the temperature shifted. Not physically, but emotionally. Behind a desk sat a nurse. Blonde hair pinned in a tight bun. Sharp eyes. Amina offered a soft "Dzień dobry" and slid over her ID. The nurse glanced at her, then paused. Her gaze shifted, narrowing. It wasn't concern, it was calculation. Judgment. Amina's hijab was visible beneath her hood. She noticed the way the nurse's lips tightened. Without a word, the woman tapped her keyboard, then stood up and walked away. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Others were being seen. Amina, struggling to breathe steadily, was still sitting. She pressed the emergency bell again. A second nurse appeared, this one kinder, but clearly cautious. "She says you're not urgent. Maybe you should try another clinic," the new nurse said, not meeting Amina's eyes. "Another clinic?" she repeated, shocked. "I told her I think it's my lungs." She made a note. "You're stable. You can wait or leave." Amina's heart sank. Something unspoken hung in the air, a tension she had felt before. Not in Poland, but in other places, other airports, train stations, queues. She had never imagined it would follow her into a hospital while gasping for air. She stepped outside again, heart pounding, not just from the pain, but from humiliation. Tears welled up, not from weakness, but from sheer disbelief. As she sat on a cold bench beside the emergency entrance, her phone buzzed. It was her sister, Layla, calling from London. Amina didn't answer. Instead, she opened the voice recorder app. Her voice trembled as she began. "It's the 14th of November. I just left the ER in Krakow because a nurse refused to treat me. I think it's because I'm Muslim." She paused. The ambulance sirens howled somewhere nearby. And in that moment, something shifted inside her. Amina stood, steadied herself, and walked away from the building, not defeated, but with quiet resolve. She was going to tell the whole story. The next morning, Amina sat across from a legal advisor at a quiet cafe tucked behind St. Mary's Basilica. Her scarf was loose now, her voice steady, but her fingers trembled slightly as she held her phone. "I recorded the time. The names. I don't want to sue anyone. I just want someone to admit what happened." The advisor, Tomasz, reviewed her notes. He looked up with a quiet frown. "If it's discrimination, it won't be easy to prove. But it's not impossible." Later that evening, Amina posted a short video on social media. Her face was solemn, her words direct. She didn't name the nurse. She didn't need to. Within hours, messages began to pour in. Strangers. Some supportive, many shocked. But then came the darker wave, anonymous accounts questioning her version of events, dismissing her pain, accusing her of playing the victim. She scrolled silently through the comments until one message caught her eye. "You're not the first. They did this to my mother in 2021. Same hospital. Same look." Amina messaged back immediately. The name attached to the comment was Camilla. The newsroom was cramped and lined with outdated posters of protests and headlines. Joanna, the reporter Amina had contacted, leaned back in her chair as she listened to the recording for the third time. "This isn't just a hospital story," she said finally. "It's a silent story. They didn't shout at you. They didn't insult you. They just let you wait. That's more dangerous than rage." Amina nodded slowly. It's easy to ignore silence. Joanna agreed to write a piece, but only if they could get one more testimony. Someone inside the hospital. It was then Amina remembered the second nurse. The one who had spoken to her, cautiously, yes, but with something close to regret. Her name was Agnieszka. Mid-40s. Worn hands. Tired eyes. They met discreetly at a public library in Nowa Huta, where no one knew either of them. "I can't talk long," Agnieszka said. "But I remember you." She glanced around before continuing. "She told us not to put you through." She marked the chart with a yellow code. "That's usually for non-urgent. But I saw your breathing. It wasn't right." "Why didn't you say something?" Amina asked softly. "I did," Agnieszka replied, almost in a whisper. "But saying something here can cost everything." Amina didn't press her. She thanked her instead. It was all she needed. The final piece. The article dropped on a quiet Tuesday morning. "Denied care. The quiet wall at Krakow General." The headline echoed through social feeds and online forums. Photos of the hospital. Excerpts from Amina's voice memo. Camilla's quote. Anonymized details from Agnieszka. The piece didn't scream. It didn't accuse. It simply laid out the facts. Reactions came fast. TV stations called. Lawyers emailed. And beneath it all, one question pulsed beneath the surface. How many others had simply left in silence? Amina received over 200 messages in 2 days. Some from other victims. Some from nurses. Some from people who didn't believe her. But one message stood out. It came from the hospital director. The director's office overlooked the old town, with a window just wide enough to frame the cathedral. His name was Dr. Lewandowski, a composed man with neat spectacles and a voice like gravel. "You've created quite the disturbance, Miss Amina." "I didn't create it," she said. "I just stopped hiding it." He sighed. "We are conducting an internal review. That's all I can say." "Not good enough," she replied. "I imagine it wouldn't be." There was a long silence between them. Then he added, "Do you want her fired?" Amina paused. "I want her to face me." Dr. Lewandowski blinked. That would be complicated. But the seed had been planted. The confrontation didn't happen in public. They met in a private room. No cameras. No press. Just Amina, the nurse, whose name she now knew was Dorota, and a neutral mediator. Dorota didn't look surprised. Only irritated. She crossed her arms as Amina entered. "You want to humiliate me," she said flatly. "No," Amina answered. "I want you to hear me." The room remained heavy with unspoken tension. Dorota didn't apologize. She didn't deny it either. "I followed hospital protocol," she said. "You didn't seem critical." "You didn't even check," Amina said. A long silence followed. Then Dorota spoke again. Quieter. "I didn't expect this much noise from someone like you." In the weeks that followed, policies at the hospital began to shift. Quietly. Anonymously. There were diversity trainings. A hotline for patient treatment concerns. Small, bureaucratic moves that meant little on the surface, but Amina noticed them. So did Camilla. "You did it," Camilla said. "No," Amina replied. "We started it." Media attention faded, as it always does. But Amina's face became known. Some glared. Others nodded silently. One afternoon, as she sat reading in the same cafe where it had begun, a woman tapped her shoulder. "My daughter wears a scarf. I just wanted to say thank you." Amina smiled, quietly. Tired, but still standing. Months later, Amina stood before a university lecture hall in Warsaw. Not as a victim, not even as an activist, as a storyteller. Her words reached students, scholars, future nurses. She told them not just what happened, but how silence feeds injustice. "When I walked into that hospital, I didn't expect to become a headline. I just wanted to breathe." A few nodded. One girl wiped a tear. And somewhere far from that hall, in a quiet break room at Krakow General, a nurse named Agnieszka sipped her tea and turned the page of a medical journal. There, in the editorial column, was Amina's final line. "We don't raise our voices to cause noise. We raise them because we were never meant to be silent,